Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali, I have been writing and I need to talk. I need to do just my own commentary on all the stuff going on. And I humbly entreat you to watch the entire share. Hit the like, because I keep hearing from a lot of folks that increases the amount of access that you are given to my shares through and also through their suggestions to you, but then they'll put it in more people's scroll of offerings. I don't know what the heck is going on. What I found is talking about radiation, they invent new ways to censor voices such as mine. And I'm always shocked that, the whole thing's set up for the white dudes. But like Dana Durnford and Kevin Blanche, just their subscriber count and their view count is in the trenches. This is set up for them. So everything that I'm reading, and I just finished the one about Dr. Alice Stewart, who proved that low-level radiation was deadly. And she's not the only person I've read about who came to that conclusion. This is not something that they don't know. But yeah, other books have just gone over how there's a supralineal effect. I could get into it, but I'm not. But radiation doesn't become more deadly simply because there's more radiation added to what was there. One atom is enough to take you out, chance-wise, but at the same time, it's particle radiation. That was one of the things that Dr. Stewart was amazed at, because she had been studying the disastrous effect of x-rays on fetuses if their mothers got x-rays while they were pregnant. And that proved that was a brilliant woman. As I've said, that was one of their best. And they completely buried her existence. And she found out with the x-rays that it didn't matter how many x-rays you got. One was enough to cause catastrophic damage. But one of the things that just startled her beyond belief when she was studying Hanford was that radiation was particles that can be in your food. They're everywhere. And it's like swallowing an x-ray machine. That's what I also got from reading The Crime of Chernobyl, where they laid out a statistic that I had heard that one atom of radiation, of hotter radiation, because it's different levels, but it doesn't matter, because they'll say something like tritium is a low frequency beta emitter. But if it's inside your body, it doesn't matter. It's still hammering all of your organic matter. And so in Crime of Chernobyl, I had verified that what I had been saying through hearsay. One atom will put out 1,440 becquerels of energy, or particles, neutrons. It'll just jettison them out every single day. That is the equivalent of getting 1,440 x-rays every single day. So the new one that I'm reading is Atomic Days. And I am not trying to oversell these other books, because I have, thanks to your donations and your purchases, I've assembled a bit of a library about radiation, but truthful books, not the propaganda, because I know how to just, ferret out which ones are propaganda and which ones are telling the truth. And with Joshua Frank, he doesn't know quite enough, but what he shared about the Hanford nuclear storage site that was initially used to produce plutonium for nuclear bombs. I mean, God dang, what these people do and what they then hide, like the company Bechtel, I do believe it was. But I got one quote in here I want to share that's scathing, where he really just goes over the, once again, the military impact and control of nuclear, and these things are not made up. So this quote, the entire war costs 3.2 trillion. I do believe, yeah, that's World War II. On average, each nuclear bomb used in the war costs 5 billion to develop. The United States produced 4 and detonated 3. So he says, as it says, he doesn't do enough research. I've been doing this oh my goodness, since Fukushima. Not that that's that long with anti-nuclear people, but still. So they detonated 3, but built 4. So Gadget, that was the New Mexico test. Little Boy, that was at Hiroshima. And Fat Man, that was at Nagasaki. Bomb number 4, which was made and at the ready, was never utilized. Oh, the hell no, they used that on Port Chicago. That is where there were black men stationed, and they don't give a damn about us. I keep going over, we are specifically targeted for elimination. We are used as a prisoner of war nation to get us, well, first, now they want to just get rid of us altogether, but at the same time to also control the white people. They've been using us that way for centuries now. And with Port Chicago, it mirrors the use of the first plutonium test conducted on human beings, American citizens supposedly, for which President Clinton got up in Congress and apologized. The first participant, he didn't know he was participating, was Eb Cade, C-A-B-E or D-E. The man was injected with plutonium, and he had been in a car accident. He happened to be working at Los Alamos, and he was in a car accident in which several bones were broken that they never healed. They never knitted them together so that he could just get the heck out the hospital. And instead, without ever saying a word, they injected him with plutonium, and I do believe a couple times, in order to study what it does to human flesh. And they also talked him into, I think, getting his teeth removed for reasons that weren't the case that they were telling him at all. But at the same time, they were probably using the teeth to test for the plutonium traces. Ed Cade realized, something's up with these dudes. He was a smart black man. And literally, with his bones not even put back together, he just disappeared. I theorize he climbed out of the window and just got into another section of the hospital and left altogether. And so they will use black us as their first guinea pig experimental, just like whatever. They'll do whatever they can with us that they want, just like with the syphilis experiment. Even though penicillin had been invented, they just were studying these folks. But radiation, the fact I'm the only black person talking about it, is wild, given how documented the harrowing hell of this stuff is. And syphilis ain't no comparison. I know about the Tuskegee experiment. I'm not saying it was good. I'm not saying any of the poison that they use on us is good. I'm saying this is the one. This is the one. And so even for the white people, I say it all the time, they don't want to die either. Okay? Now, do I trust them? Oh, hell no. But I put my total faith and humble submission to the Most High. He said vengeance is his. He said don't gloat. Don't gloat. Don't get ghoulish out there over people being murdered. And I watched the horrible assassination of Kirk. I almost don't remember his name at this point because I don't care who he was, but he was still a human being. He's still a human being. So I noticed they got black folks out here just like, especially the politicians, maligning him or, laughing about him being assassinated when that was horrifying. I just, Dr. She had it, and so I watched the entire assassination, and I was so afraid I was going to be traumatized for an extended period of time. I probably am, because I'm in this modern world traumatized by all the murder scenes I've watched in movies aplenty, and your subconscious mind doesn't see that as fake, even though when I was watching him go down, I was like, oh, that ain't fake. And it just tore my heart out. I don't wish anybody harm. The Most High is going to do what he needs to do, so I don't have to gloat. I could feel my full humanity. I'm not a psychopath. So I found it very interesting that of these people who were just like making light and having fun jests at obviously a planned assassination, I was like, so where are you talking about this? And this is where, let's go to the videotape. There's so much to this that, as I say, it will probably be a long share, but it's vital information, vital data that is I'm putting it together with what I don't see anybody else talking about anywhere. And that I find very suspicious, and at the same time troubling. I find it suspicious not because anybody who doesn't talk about the radioactive factor reality that connects all of this together is not that they know that they're reading according to the script, but it's that they have succumbed to the embedded ignorance that is a planned strategy coming from the military to ensure that the average person just thinks of a comic book narrative when they contemplate radiation. And also, human nature is to seek what is popular. What seems, most of the folks agree, this is the way we all think. And rather than doing actual research to find out, no, what is it that they're not talking about? What is it that they're just instigating all of this entreatment to go violent? What are they doing that to hide? All right. So I found this article right here. I haven't read it. I haven't even clicked on it to find out what it's about. But this was very interesting because in the making fun of Charlie Kirk assassination, here they suddenly have 3 black people and then the white person all the way down at the bottom. This is part of the script. And that's why that 200-yard, you are a sniper. When you can hit somebody on point like that, you're a sniper. You are trained brutally, in depth. You're not just some college student who's 20 years old and your dad got you put it together yourself rifle. No, that is something that is just, that's your life. You are living, training to be someone who could shoot dead on from 200 yards. He got his neck because it's difficult. I imagine he was aiming for his head. And it's difficult when you're aiming downwards from a high vantage point to get the bullet to go exactly where you need it to go. So the fact that he got his neck, I'm sure he meant to get his head, but still, woo, it was horrifying. And so I noticed that this is an article from yesterday. And this is after all, announcing who the shooter was and all these different people. But before that, when they were going over all the folks who were upset, it was all these white people who were out there first and foremost going against the, or Charlie Kirk. They were going against him. So for them to suddenly dig up these different black people, it's like June 6th or January 6th, all over again, where they're just trying to get us involved in what's their issue, because we're starting to separate from them just naturally on our own. I was having a conversation with a brother who was taking care of some maintenance work in the neighborhood, and just, it happened naturally. And he was agreeing, like, here these folks out here who they just want to do something against me, and they don't even know my name. We were both going on. They don't even know our individual personalities, let alone are they remotely interested in doing any in-depth research, like the black man who unfortunately stabbed the Ukrainian woman. I noticed, like, he had come out telling his sister, he didn't come out, but he told his sister in a recorded conversation that they were doing something to him, and he'd been in jail 14 times. I don't know how many times I've published different books, and we all know about the MK Ultra programming, and I've seen people like Sinner Girl, one of her sisters, and she has a whole bunch of sisters, had a channel that I was up to for a long time, and then all of a sudden she came out saying, well, I'm going to go back into this hospital where they're going to try to do something with my head. And she sounded like Ariana Grande, who Dr. She uploaded a clip of Ariana Grande stating that, I might not remember everything. They had my memory erased, that. And she mentioned this hospital that she went to where they did that. And she and Cynthia Erivo had been up there promoting their movie, and it was just, they were both like skinny as heck, cryptoid out, like nobody's business. And here's Ariande talking about having her memory erased. So we know there are agents out there, because our black system as a people, we are not given to being psychopaths. We are not given to finding pleasure in carnage. Not at all. That's not us. However, we are incredible thinkers. We are incredible creators. We've transformed the world with our biggest gross national product, which is truth and honesty and real good skills at sharing that, because the Most High gave us authority in many of the different things that we will just do, just having fun, right? So that's not our system to be like that. They have to work over double time to try to find those amongst us who will be as out of their heads into materialism and hedonism and all the other types of isms they've invented, and then to control us. And so we'll be like these politicians who will get up there and entreat just regular black you and me to engage in violence when they won't even say anything against the daggone jab. They won't say anything against COVID whatsoever, and that they're fanning the flames of a whole nother scandal-epidemic so that they could get people all locked down. They even have some towns out here where they're telling people, oh, you should wear the mask again. They won't say anything against that. They won't say anything against how many children got injected with that vaccine. What else was in that vaccine? I'm not saying there wasn't awful stuff in it, but I'm just thinking of the CMOS that is being pushed on us, even by like Essence magazine. When all my non-ending research proves that the sea moss, anything coming from the oceans, would be a magnet for radiation. And so I know they're not going to talk about that 100%, not because they don't know about the radiation. I had someone at an event, a black event I went to around here, who was once a very high level elected official. He was wearing a mask, but I didn't know who he was at the time when he came up to me and he said, "I know you." And he was very pleasant about it too, meaning that he's watched my shares. I know that, right? But I didn't know who he was until later on. Someone said, "Oh, you know, that was," and I says, "I don't have a recording. I'm not going to say whose name he was." But I'm just saying, they know. It's not that they don't know. They just are told, don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. And so with Charlie Kirk, well, I was calling Carl Kirk because I had forgotten his name. Charlie Kirk, that 200-yard assassin's pinpoint sniper assassination, that was 100% in my firm conclusion, instruction to all the other right-wingers of keep it on point. This is what you talk about. This is not what you talk about. Because what the last thing that Charlie was talking about was, someone asked him, well, are you going to talk about the serial killers? And, and they were pinning that to the trans sutured up folks. And he said, well, only if we're also going to talk about the gang violence. And I'm like, he had a whole motto of debate me. How do you dare to debate me? In Utah? Hell no. Blackouts aren't going on over to Utah. It's like 1.6% of the population of Utah is black. And I would say they would be more like those black people who were sucking up to white people big time. Right? We're not going over there to debate you. No time. He would be stuck amongst his own. And then our truthful voices are completely shadow banned. And so I'm like, if you're going to talk about gang violence, let's talk about world wars. Let's talk about the Ukraine. Let's talk about Israel. And I don't want to talk about Israel. I'm not on, that's my whole overall point, is don't get on either side of these dudes. Because let's talk about radiation in the food that shocked Dr. Alice Stewart, who was one of their giants. And I've read so many books, and I will definitively put her ahead of Rosalie Bertell in terms of her investigative analysis. She was the beginning of epidemiology, that entire branch of medicine, where you can then use your statistics in order to predict the trajectory of something that you keep on doing and you didn't study well enough to figure out that, oh, this is killing me, right? So I would say I'm not, according to Western medicine, a licensed doctor, but at the same time, that's what I've done with understanding the death coming from the sea moss, coming from the rice that's being donated by Japan, the cheapest nation on the planet, sending it to black nations. And then if they can't send it from Japan directly, or if, China's all up in there, they get China to donate the same radioactive Japanese rice, in my firm conclusion. Right? And so Alice was just putting all the pieces together, and they shadow banned her existence completely. And so for black us who are just sane and believe in justice, they hide our existence altogether. And so they can put us in a narrative that we have no ability to question, so that it's a whole like giant Charlie Kirk, come and debate me and I'm gonna just make that impossible for you, because it's so easy to just take whatever rhetoric these guys are putting out there and thwart it every single way. We are not the violent ones. We are, by nature, by history, a peaceful people, even when it comes to them. And the whole, immigration thing in Europe, they're the ones who are doing that to themselves. We aren't in their legislatures, not like that we were choosing we need to bring more of our brothers and sisters up in here. No, that's the white people, because they needed to destabilize Europe, and they need to do it real fast because there's just not enough time left. I had mentioned they will confess their wrongdoing in small ways, and they just try to get stuff out as much as possible. But these things are their smoke signals, where they'll let you know what their next plan is. And here, living Nostradamus, who foresaw COVID, no, he didn't. If he was presenting it as if it was an actual real thing, which it was just basically a computer algorithm. And so, yeah, no, this guy, sorry, if you didn't tell the truth about this, then you full of crap, all right? But he was predicting a silent nuclear crisis. And I had mentioned that when, not directly when I got this article here, but shortly thereafter, before they started having different black channels that never ever mentioned anything about radiation whatsoever, suddenly going on about the St. Louis spraying of the Pruitt-Iago housing complex, right? The projects. And they said it in terms of a way that would be agreeable to the United States military, where they were just, they were spraying chemicals, or they were spraying radiation. They didn't say, what particular isotope it was. But in Lisa Martino Taylor's book, Behind the Fog, she goes over extensively. I think she has a whole chapter dedicated to explaining what happened there. And they use different terminology, like, forever chemicals. That's the one they're using now, in my firm conclusion, to hide the effect of Fukushima fallout. That's what they were doing with Pruitt-Iago. They all these black. I was like, look at them. They're all suddenly talking about radiation. But not the one that is impacting our lives right now. The CMOS, our food. All our food needs to be tested. Because there's different foods that will absorb more or less radiation, and there's foods that will get it out of your body. And speaking of books, this is the book you need, right? Furnace of Affliction. I put how to get that crap out of your body right on in there. My research is nonstop extensive. Even before I started getting the anti-nuke books, I was on it, and because I'm like, oh no. There are people in every segment of society, in every racial group, who are just gonna have a line, and you can't cross that line. And when Fukushima popped off, when I actually even first started learning about what all these poison foods were doing to our body, I said, oh no. But when Fukushima popped off, I was like, God dang, they are literally committing a global-cide. And I'm sorry, no. If you are one of our progeny, generations from now, I was fighting for you. There may be plenty of black folks out here too scared to say a daggone word, or will jump on the first distraction and get on that when I was fighting for you to be born with your intact DNA. And I put how to manage that in this book. I have to add, you need to eat manganese-rich foods. Don't go overboard with any of this, but at the same time, manganese supports the creation of superoxide dismutase. I'm saying this because I didn't know that when I wrote this, and now you know, right? But I put a book together because sometimes people don't even look at your old videos. I would say you should be looking at all my old videos, every single one. All right? But it creates superoxide dismutase, which is a wall, a barrier around your organic cellular units, your cells. And so that the radiation, the pinging, the decaying of the radiation, because we're going to get it in our food, doesn't interfere with the genetic code, the RNA and the DNA that's inside those cells. So that the most vulnerable part of them is when they're separating and expanding. That's why children are more vulnerable to radiation's impact. You also need for the children apopectin, organic apopectin, which Dr. Bandashevsky found pulls the radiation out of their bodies without interfering with other nutrient absorption that they need to continue growing. That is mighty. I used to just share all of that, but doing this as Rosalie Bertell, as every single book where people will talk about the radiation, it is economically very, very difficult to do. So go to 25,000yearcycle.org. Get your healing on from people who care about you deep to our souls, and assist me in getting this warning far and wide, because we got to. But there are other things to reduce the amount of radiation you take in, especially not eating things that would definitely be contaminated, like the sea moss. But I put all of those different methods to chelate it out, and also to grow as radiation reduced food sustenance as possible. Is all in here. Go to 25,000yearcycle.org to get this, because I'm not going to put a video together this book, even though it's like, large space lettering so you can read it real easy. There's an awful lot of data in here that we need to know, not just my generation, but all the generations to come, because the radiation don't give a damn about whiteism. If white people woke up and said, wait a minute, I think we're being fooled here by, Albert Pike. Yes, you are. All right? Even without their it's the left, it's the right, it's this, is that. The radiation has already been released on our planet. And so we have to do something about it. So this right here, I gotta share this one right here, because it's like I went over the ridiculousness of SMRs and how the laws of nuclear physics do not bend to whiteism. And whiteism, Satanism, same thing, okay? Nuclear startup receives funding to bury its mini reactors a mile underground. Why the dang would they have to bury these suckers a mile underground? Because they are going to get, I said it, we're going to build little compartmentalized tanks, and we can ship it on trucks and assemble it like a Lego building block kit. Hell no! Radiation has a physical dynamic that cannot be transformed to suit your need for funding, your grifting need to steal large amounts of investments based off of a lie. So people have been saying, If they don't have any of these SMRs, small modular reactors, put together anywhere operating, they'll lie about it and say, oh, no, yeah, no, we're building one. But no, you can't. Because the amount of radiation that's it's going to be a small little module. And so that would mean it had thin little walls. Radiation's going to shoot right out of that sucker. All the employees, the engineers trying to put that together, they all die. Not that they mind. Whoa, what they did. That's what I'm saying. White people don't want to die either, but they don't give a damn. It's like the folks in control of white society are hoarders. Evil hoarders. Where that's all they know generationally to maintain their hegemony, to maintain their myths about themselves as being the most incredible people on the planet, and they all hate each other. If they don't want to give up control. And so they've made deals with a force of nothingness in order not to feel any remorse in saying lies, in killing everybody and everything. I think with that lack of melanin, they're just not as rooted to morality. I've met some amazing white people in my life. They were very moral. They would have never hurt anybody in life. But the system itself is ruled by psychopathic despots, and it encourages the same mindset in its people, and they don't mind going along with it as long as it makes them feel like they are Sydney, whatever the heck her name is, who was on, doing a jeans commercial saying, I got good jeans. She didn't say it, but the commentator said it. What? You can't stand in the sun, girl. Stop it. Right? And so as long as they can live that fantasy, then they're like, well, maybe I don't mind that half my family was taken out by cancer because we were all downwinders, right? Those are the folks who were living in the Midwest where they tested. The United States tested over like almost 2,000 nuclear above ground tests. And there's so much I know, too much, that I could just go on forever about all the different aspects of all of these nuclear things. The downwinders, that's what they call them. I guess they don't mind being killed now, just as long as they can believe the myth that they're the most mightiest people on the planet when most of them are dirt poor, been used and abused by their own on a constant, anyway. But so yeah, that's why these things got to be a mile underground to make up for the fact that they don't want to put 20-foot thick lead encasement around these suckers so they don't kill everybody within 50 miles in 2 days. And they keep working on us like this one here. I just have to show a couple of things that they are putting out their little signals, like with the Nostradamus guy and the silent nuclear crisis, okay? That's because the word is getting out about the hell of radiation, and I'm letting you know how to find stuff all on your own. All on your own. That's why they hid this book on Amazon, and I got the records of that too, right? Because they don't want you to be saved. So when it comes to them looking to because they got to get everybody distracted. Ain't nothing more distracted than just sexual debauchery. For some. For others, sane people, it's like, yeah, I know what you're up to, right? I'm mature enough to know that you can't be living your life supine. You got to be standing up, okay? Most of your life. And if you're thinking, you're going to have a much better life at that, right? And so scientists are amazed to discover a primordial black hole created just moments after the Big Bang, okay? I'm like, yeah, it's just talking about Allah making the black man. That's it. It's as simple, all right? And so they say scientists have been amazed to discover an ancient and nearly naked black hole at the furthest reaches of the universe. This is nothing more than them sending out another signal they own, like with the nasty X, just that nasty rapper guy running outside in his tighty whities. They're trying so hard to get us. Don't you want to be a Procyon loader, black people? Don't you want to be a suck up to us? No, I don't. And most of us don't either. We're done. We really enjoy being black. Like the gentleman, the brother I was talking to, who's just like, we didn't have any pro-black conversation, no. But he was just like, yeah, I just want to be around my people. That's the problem. There's a whole movement of us separating, and they want to cut it off at the beginning as much as they can. They tried to cut it off at the beginning, but they just want to cut it off before it's just official. Right? And so they got to get, I said that they're going to have the next, black award ceremony, and they're going to have us naked. That's what Doichi was for, parading around in her underwear. But she needed to have some men guarding her, and a white man specifically, because all her talk about, well, the one man I can't stand is straight men talk is nonsensical. And black you and me, we know that. We know that, especially so many of us sisters who are like so excited to be the natural chosen mate to the most magnificent man on earth. In our conclusion, if you're a pink person, a white person, whatever you prefer to call yourself, you should love your own first and foremost. Leave everybody else to our ability to reproduce ourselves. Doichi can't reproduce herself. If all persons were to go off on an island all by themselves, we wouldn't be hearing from them in less than 100 years. I'm just saying. All right? And so this is what they want. They want massive hedonism, or they want civil wars in all of the different videos where I'm subscribed to the China stories. This one down here, Citigroup leaves China, Union Pay, foreign banks exit, massive risk. They are also pushing the Chinese to a bloodbath. And they're pretending right now that, oh no, you don't have to worry. The police are going to just, be overwhelmed by you. The level of weaponry that these satanic elites up top control is going to make that a far less desirable outcome than simply separating and doing for yourself. Now, China is all one contiguous nation, but at the same time, I'm like, yo, dudes, go grow your own wherever you can. There's all sorts of massive flooding going on because the radiation has just increased the ambient temperature so that the ice sheets are melting away. And China has exacerbated that whole horror with their Three Gorges Dam project. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Like I said, I can't talk about it, but I see people talking about Charlie Kirk, who would have never mentioned anything serious whatsoever in their lives. And some of them, I've even gone to them like years back and told them about man-made radiation. They didn't do a whip of investigation, and they would never, except that, they kind of started talking about the Pruitt-Igoe thing, but talking about it in a way where the U.S. military would have been like, yeah, okay, that's good. All right? But yeah, how is it they have all of these things happening where they want China also to lose a gasket? There's so much about China too that I could go on with, but they want China to lose it and the U.S. also at the same time. And so that right at that point with Charlie Kirk, they cut off his next sentence with a bullet. Oh my goodness, that is definitely to rein in the parameters with Charlie. In my firm conclusion, he was stepping a little bit outside the script because the laity, the common white person, is doing some research. And they know, even the ones who aren't living in the middle of the Ozarks or in, like the Adirondacks, even they know there's a whole lot more going on. And they may not, I don't know. I don't like them. They don't like me. I'm cool with that. Just stay where you are. I am not Candace Owens. I ain't interested in having your babies, not ever. I know the old womb is shut down for good, but I'm just saying, once you love black, you want more. You never want less, all right? And so they're doing research and they're starting to wonder, wait a minute, I don't think Albert Pike was working on our behalf. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. The KKK is an entire invention that he and his college cohorts put together for common white people who are clueless and remain clueless and are happy to be clueless. So I ain't expecting nothing from them, but I'm just saying it's getting a little bit difficult because we're supposed to provide the Procyon Loters aplenty in order to feed their, just sort of innate dislike of us, hatred of us. We're supposed to provide the theater so that they could go, oh yeah, look at them black people. They did hip hop, they took over hip hop. Certain folks who were out there controlling presidents all over the world right now. And you know who I'm talking about, the ones you can't mention. Yeah, they took over hip hop and talked us into believing that we were born to be thugs. No, that increase in criminality is a natural consequence of being just oppressed and marginalized from being in control of your own life, your own destiny. That we're a nation, we're a whole separate nation. And so they just took advantage of that aspect of what was going on in our communities where people were struggling to survive and turned it into something where people swear that's our culture. No, that is our madness that they have just expanded in us. When you look historically at the indigenous poor of Europe, they acted the same way. The same way. And they marginalized those people too. I was watching all sorts of things about their insane asylums too. What they do to their own. Oh my God. Well, those poor white folks and middle-class white folks, and not enough of the rich ones because they wouldn't be getting in their little putt-putt planes if they knew about the Wigner effect. But many of them are starting to ask questions, and so that's why Charlie Kirk was taken out. Because you're not supposed to go beyond those 200 yards. That's it. You're just supposed to stay on script. Like this right here. Ooh, oh my goodness. This is at that same rally. And this guy who gets up, his shirt says sniper. Sniper. Okay? And they're discussing an aspect of the Talmud where Charlie Kirk, when he was talking about two aspects, made a Baphometic goat sign with his hand. This might have been a prearranged conversation, and I'm sure Charlie didn't know that they were talking to more than just him, and that they were talking to the sniper, maybe giving him the signal that, yeah, it's on, all right? And here's another angle so you could see, yes, it says sniper. That is really freaking weird. But this is what these people do. I don't know if you remember, this was a Burger King campaign where they were going to just to show that, it's more to life than just being happy. So they introduced these really just vile meal boxes, pissed meal. I would not want to be eating anything that was talking about being pissed. And here's another one, salty meal and blue meal. I mean, this is like, this is supposed to encourage people to feel happy? I don't think so. Yas meal. I'm like, come on now. You know that this was completely racist in its intention, because that's and not that I mean that I would find it upset and somebody should have started a campaign and say, no, we need to get rid of the Yas boss meal plan or box or whatever, especially the mouth is all open and you got the two teeth there. It just is all very reminiscent of Jim Crow memorabilia. All right? I'm just saying, these people, they work together. They work together. And they have ways of letting each other know this is where we want to go. So they've been pushing everybody to reach an accelerated level of anger. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. I find, just writing and the days where I'm just taking care of my family are so joyful that I'm like, wait a minute. Donald Trump ain't in charge of my day. He's not in control of my peace. I defend my peace by doing things like stepping away, so that I'm really, really enjoying writing my book. It's so good. And that is my contribution, because my book is about the truth, but it's with Black love. So it's just like, wow, it's so draws you in, but the characters are real. It's not silly. It's not meant as just a woman's book, okay? I'm not saying that women are silly, but I know I love my romance dramas, all right? But yeah, it's just so blissful. It's a blissful existence when you realize these people, they've lost. When you kill oceans, you lose, and they've lost, all right? They're just trying to find ways to keep everything in wraps because they've run out of time. Somebody sooner or later is going to be able to pull themselves away from the distractions, enough of us, that we're going to say, wait a minute, ain't no more salmon out there. Thank you, Kevin Blanche, for putting that out there. Right? Ain't no more whales, no more dolphins. And it's just like the pouring of the cups coming up on the land, and we are seeing ours just go out. Trust, it's sad because like the white folks are going out too. I'm not gloating, okay? Because death is so like an unnatural death. It's so unnecessary. That's why I did this. All right. Thank you if you watched this all the way through. Thank you for going on over to 25000yearcycle.org and getting your healing done, because we do the research that they don't want you to know. That's what the AI is for. It's not going to be a rescue. Anybody out there is thinking, oh no, AI is going to rescue us. I'm like, what? Are you serious? Because I've heard stuff like that too. It's crazy. All right, let me get out of here. Mwah. I have one more share to do. Hopefully I'll be able to do it today or tomorrow about my skin, 62. And yeah, you can have this skin probably even better than I have it. All right. Straight Black Pride is our map to forever. Submit joyfully and humbly to the one and only. Use the name of the Creator you've been divinely guided to embrace, and ask for this magnificent planet back. And he said he'll give it back to us. He never kids around, okay? When he says something, that's what he means. I love you. Peace and blessings.